Nope.
Now we're
And
recording.
I'm
Yeah,
going
now
to
we're
change
recording.
to,
There we go. Recording.
Too funny.
Yes, we're recording. No,
Yay.
Hey, something
channel
worked.
has had a glitch or something this year, so it's like, you know, we're doing good. We're doing really good.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Oh my God. Oh, wait a minute. Now make sure I'm on speaker view because I did the other thing. There we go, speaker view.
I had to make sure everybody was on.
Yeah, there we go.
Let's see. There we go. Now we're good. So I just gotta get my technical crap together.
Yeah, me too.
All
I gotta
right.
go to another. I gotta go to another screen on my iPad.
All
Here we
right.
go.
Insanity with electronics. This is what happens when you have too many gadgets and devices. to
Can
use.
never have enough
That's enough of
toys.
that.
Yeah,
That's
Exactly.
enough of that. You don't fight with your brother. You get up here. Okay. Let's start with topic 1. What is happening in
Introduction, introduction. Hold on.
Oh,
Okay, we gotta
sorry.
do- That's
Do
why I went
we
to
know
that.
these people? I'm
I
sorry.
told you
I've
I
been
have a
talking to
glitch,
them
one
for a while.
glitch.
I've seen this person, Vera, before.
Yeah, I think I know her.
Yeah,
And then we also have with us Lisa Silverthorne
and Craig Martelle.
both authors, both very talented. And we're going to talk a little bit about the writing world as it is right now. So with that, topic number 1. What's happening in publishing right now? After a crazy year of COVID-19, how bad are the effects on the industry? Are ebook sales and audiobooks still rising? And what about paper?
Good question. Good question.
Yeah. Well, we're kind of hitting that weird time of year where everybody's starting to be released from captivity. So a lot of people do not want to sit inside and read right now. So I think things are kind of fluctuating quite a bit right now as people go out and do the summer thing but I think they'll be back because readers are readers, and you know, people that love to read, we read for our whole lives. So I think they'll be back, but I've been seeing some fluctuations. I don't know about the rest of you, but
Yeah, no, I agree with Lisa. I think this is a weird time of the year where normally it's like we get a little bump right after the holidays, right? Like in January, and then it just kind of dimps a little bit, and then the summer reads begin. At least for me, it's been like, okay, this is the first bump, then we have a dip, then it goes up again, and then the fall, of course, is usually pretty good. But this is like normal plus the post-COVID stuff. So we don't know what kind of a Twilight Zone thing we're living in anymore. I don't know, Craig,
Agreed.
like how you just had a release, Craig. How would you say that went, relatively speaking? Like, was it like exciting or?
Well, I'd say it started in 2020 because I had only planned to publish 6 books in 2020, but because of lockdown, I published 11.
Wow.
And
Incredible.
2020 was well about a million words written, so it was a lot of material in those books. Those were big books, and I doubled my revenue. So it was my biggest year ever in 2020. And then the first 3 months of 2021 promised even greater returns. So that was successful. A little bit of a dip in April because I didn't have a new release. I had 2 in March, none in April. And in May, I had a big release with my latest in my Judge, Jury, and Executioner series, book 12. And we put books 1 through 11 on sale. And I hope you'll enjoy it. It's a shorter book. It's only 65,000 words, but that series as a whole just absolutely killed it with this sales we had in promotion in May. So May is a big month. But what I'm doing now is I'm stockpiling because at the end of April, about April 29th, and I talked to a number of pretty big league authors, right around April 29th, it was like a magic red letter date that everybody's sales took a dip of 10 to 20%. Mine took a dip of about 25%. And then of
Yeah.
course, May with the big sale and all the
Yeah.
pre-orders for that book. So that kind of obviated all of it. But now the numbers are just that tail is starting to trickle off.
Yeah.
Right.
So what I'm doing is instead of fighting it this summer, I'm just going to run a couple sales and I'm stockpiling. So I will publish, I believe, 9 books between September and December. So I'm stockpiling. I already have
Oh,
3 books
fabulous.
written and ready, and just waiting for the fall when I'll publish them. I'm not going to fight the trend. If we're low numbers through June, July, and August, that's fine.
Yeah.
But come September, we're going to hit that hard. October, and then also I'm almost exclusively in Kindle Unlimited, and the highest payouts for Kindle Unlimited page reads are in traditionally November and December. So that's when I hit it with my big stuff. That's when I put my box sets on sale. And last year, November, December, and January then were all just massive months for me.
Right. That's interesting. Now you got different series going, right? Because see, for me, it's just like the same old series, one series, focus on it, novellas or whatever, but it's just still one franchise. But you have different stuff, right? So you got the judge, jury, executioner. You have other things. You have, military, Space Marine type stuff, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I have 22 different series.
Yeah.
I have over 100 books published. The Judge, Jury, and Executioner, that's in Michael Anderley's Cartharian Gambit universe, of
Okay,
which
right.
I have,
Oh, okay.
almost 40 books published in that universe, which it's a ready-made audience. Plus I built my own audience in there. So it's a really nice, a synergy of our talents and our readership. And then I've started a new thriller series, and I'm really happy with how that has turned out, because I've been pretty much exclusively science fiction, but this thriller series, I really wanted to branch off into thrillers,
Right.
and try to find a readership there. And that has done well as well. My Ian Bragg series, translated into German.
Ian
now.
Bragg is the title of the series. Ian Bragg, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Ian Bragg. I wanted a cool name. I studied all the big ones, all the big thrillers. And it was like 1 syllable, 2 syllables, John Milton, Jack Reacher.
Right.
So I went with
Yep.
Ian Bragg.
James
Yeah.
Bond.
And the very
Here you go.
the very selfish reason for Ian was it's 3 letters. And I figured I was going to type the name Ian about 1 million times. So 3 letters worked for me.
That's good.
Okay, I have
An unbeaten name.
I have the next question. I love books, but I want to know what the difference is between traditional and indie publishing and the hybrid track, and which one, if somebody's getting started, and I know that's a real high, steep hill, which do you recommend? How hard is it to become a new writer now, and how much promotion has to happen? I gave you a lot to think about.
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and start.
Go for it.
I'm pretty much a hybrid writer. I got my start, I made my first professional short fiction sale in 1994. And I've sold over 100 short stories professionally in various anthologies. And so I'm pretty established in the short fiction markets, but for novels, it really got to a point where the traditional publishers were grabbing all rights for, ebook rights and audio rights, merchandising rights, holding on to the first book in a series for its lifetime. And then the authors struggling to get the rights to revert back to them when the publisher decides they don't want to publish book 3. So then you have this wonderful series that you can no longer publish because you're not going to get the rights back to book 1. So it's really difficult to get a good contract, especially if you're a brand new writer trying to avoid their boilerplate contracts where they pretty much take over the rights. So indie publishing is a really good way to avoid, having people steal all your rights and having control of the life of a series. And you know, you write a series 5 years ago, you end it, and then 5 years later, you decide there's 4 more books in that series. Well, if you were traditionally published, you may not be able to even get those on the market from traditional publishers. Plus,
You're kind of screwed.
yeah, you're kind of screwed.
Wow.
So I think indie publishing is the best way to go for anybody who wants to publish a novel, because you have ultimate control over that series. You can make it, you know, you can control the cover artist, you can control the copy editing, you can control every phase of publishing that book. And plus you have wonderful organizations like 20 Books to 50K, Wide for the Win, a lot of indie author organizations that can help you get where you need to be. So I enjoy being a hybrid writer because I love that instant gratification of seeing a short story come out in an anthology, you know, from Daw Books or Rock Books or whatever. But when it comes to novels, at this point, I can't see myself going anywhere but indie for novels. It's just,
Yeah.
that control is in my hands and I'm not going to lose rights. So.
That's perfect. And I was going to mention, Lisa, you started this series, the A Game of Lost Souls. You wrote this. Tell us about the incredible like marathon, write-a-thon, because she produced like, what is it, 10 billion books in a month? Just not a big exaggeration here.
In 3 months, I wrote 630,000 words. I walked away from my job of 30 years in last year and I moved to Vegas. Everybody thought I'd lost my mind. Wait a minute, you're quitting and you're moving to Vegas. What? Yep. So I moved here and I got an early retirement deal. And I was like, I'm going to be this full-time writer I've always wanted to be. So I was talking to Vera about writing series stuff because I kept trying to write series things and I'd write 2 or 3 and it just wouldn't pan out. And we were talking about these standalone books I had and she's like, why don't you turn that into a series, Lisa? I'm like, really? And so I got to thinking about it. And then a couple days later, this whole universe just exploded in my head. And I'm like, oh my God, I have a real series in my head.
We're talking really 2 days. I mean, seriously, you're not
It
exaggerating.
was literally 2 days. And then a
like,
friend of mine was like, hey, Lisa, you want to do a novel dare? Because this writer friend of mine, Ron Collins, and I have been doing novel dares since 97, where you write a novel in a month. And, you know, it's the first draft of it, of course. And so I was like, okay, let's do this. I wrote this book in 8 days, 90K, 8 days. And then I was like, you know what? Let's just keep going. So I wrote 3 books in October. My writing dare partners hated me and wouldn't speak to me for probably a month after this. And so then I turned around and wrote 2 more in November. And then December, I wrote book 6. So I threw down this whole series in my head. And now I thought I was going to end it with book 7, but it exploded again. So now I have another 5 books in my head. I'm currently writing book 8 right now it's going to be 12 books. At the moment, it's going to be 12 books, but it was just this amazing journey. And I'm really hoping I get to do it again real soon. I'm about halfway through book 8 and it's probably going to finish here in another 5 or 6 days. And we're talking about a first draft here because, you know, my stuff goes through many passes before it actually gets published. But it was just the most amazing, magical thing to spend 3 months completely immersed in a universe from book 1 to what I thought was the end of the series. So it was pretty magical. I have another series that I've got some other books and it's actually probably the polar opposite of A Game of Lost Souls. But
military or science fiction, right?
Yeah, it's a military science fiction, genetic engineering. It's about clone soldiers and the aftermath of intergalactic war. And it's a pretty intense series. I have book 1's out. I'm in the production stages for book 2 on that one. And it's only going to be six 6 books, but it's a little bit longer. But this one, A Game of Lost Souls, it just keeps going and going and going in my head.
Well,
And I
Any
hope it keeps
Energizer
going.
Bunny?
it's a great high concept. I mean, it's like Cinderella meets Supernatural or The Bachelor, right? What is it?
Yeah, it's basically the Cinderella fairy tale meets The Bachelor with magic and a whole lot of demons, angels of
Tons
death,
of demons and
and
Lucifer.
true love. So, and you know what's a good love story when you have a bunch of demons? You can't have a good love story without demons. So,
You gotta have the bad guys.
Blade.
and a body count. I mean, come on. So,
Exactly.
it's all good.
You know, we would like, go ahead, Craig.
It's 630,000 words in 3 months is big time. And a lot of people, I work with, I run 20 books of 50K. We have over 50,000 members, indie authors, which is another term for self-published authors.
Right.
And I've run across a huge number of people who said, hey, I quit my job, I'm writing full time. And then they would instantly be blocked because there was so much pressure that they put on themselves. Like, oh my God, I now have to earn a paycheck, and they freeze. And it's not for everyone, but it's nice. I retired. And then I said, hey, I want to write a book. So I started writing full time, having never written a book. And I started writing full time.
That's the
And
way
that
to
was
learn.
almost 6 years. That was almost 6 years ago. And well, I am fanatically results driven. So until I had a finished book, I couldn't sell said book. And I have a law degree. So and business was where I was in consulting when I finally said, I've had enough travel, I'm done, and I retired. And
Mine was IT.
it's great to see somebody that, hey, this is what I really want to do. Now that I'm retired, I'm an adult, I can make my own decisions, and this is what I really want to do. And you're doing it. And that's great to see. So congratulations on that. Good luck on your mail
Thank you.
Sci-Fi. You should join IASFA. We're
I did. I did.
oh, you are.
That's
Oh,
right.
great.
You were
Then
in,
get
yeah.
your mill Sci-Fi. We're gonna make mill magic happen with the military Sci-Fi. I'm launching
Oh,
2
good.
That's
different
the
mill
bundle,
Sci-Fi
right? That's the new
series.
bundle promo, right? Is that right?
When is that?
We've got Space Adventure coming in June, but we don't have a mill Sci-Fi. We'll probably get that late in the fall because I want to get one of my new series in there.
Oh, perfect.
And actually, I might do that as a pre-release, not in Amazon, but the first time anybody will see it will be in a bundle. So
Okay.
and mill Sci-Fi. I've got 3 different series coming this fall
Oh, that's
that are mill
fantastic.
Sci-Fi.
Because I should definitely have book 2 out, and and 3, and I should be almost done with book 4 by then. So
There you go.
excellent.
Hopefully that'll
And
give you
see,
a good leg up, especially if
this
you don't
is-
have a mill Sci-Fi audience.
No, I don't. I've written short fiction in the universe, but I haven't. It was really scary to put this book out there. This is kind
You're
of
good.
like my
You're
heart
good.
book, you know. This is like really important, but that's what Craig's talking about. All these bundles and these collaborations. These are things that you don't get from traditional publishing.
Yep.
And you know, a lot of writers view traditional publishing as a competition. And as writers, we're not in competition with each other. We're in cooperation with each other, because if Vera and I are writing in the same genres, and she gets a huge following, and then I come out with my book, that means there's this huge audience over here that loves these kind of books. And maybe if they like her books, they might look at mine if we're in the same genre. So,
Exactly.
you know, it doesn't feel like a competition. It feels like we're helping each other get to where we want to be. So that's a really important difference between indie and traditional publishing.
Exactly.
But readers
you
can read.
guys-
Yeah. Go ahead.
Readers can
Go
read
ahead, Craig.
a lot more than we can write. So
Yes.
it's that's where we're better
true.
together. And that's one premise that we have in 20 books is a rising tide lifts all boats. So as we rise we rise together. I think we had a question that was originally hybrid or indie, and I'm hybrid. I have 4 books with an imprint of Simon & Schuster. And I've worked really well with my publisher. They're great, but still, what's the difference? I make orders of magnitude more money on my indie stuff than I do with my trad stuff.
Exactly.
And I mean, they've worked really well with me. They've actually bundled all 4 books into a new complete bind up that they're publishing in June at my behest. And it's a post-apocalyptic series. First book's going to be in the free promo out of IASFA, but that whole 4-book package, complete with a 4-book audio set for 1 credit, and we're going to look at this summer. And so that should be good money for both of us with that package. However, the indie books, you talk about control. They let me publish 3 books in 1 year, and normal traditionally they might say 1 book, and new contracts have right of first refusal.
Yes.
So if you write any
That's
other
right.
books,
Yeah.
they say, well, we'll look at it, and they'll sit on it, and so you're stymied from making a living. So
Years
you have to
go
get a
by.
day job. Yeah, who wants to be who wants to be a full-time author? And oh, by the way, you got to get a day job to make ends meet.
Exactly.
That's a big hell no for me.
Yeah,
It
exactly.
reminds
So,
me of what the Hollywood producers did to the actors and actresses back in the 40s with, this is really interesting to me.
It's a complete peril. We were just talking earlier in the Hollywood panel, like how a lot of the talent, when they go off on their own, they start their own studios, remember that?
Sure do. It's
conversation?
that creative control.
Exactly. And it occurred to me, you know what? They have all this prestige, because if like Angelina Jolie decides to produce a movie and whatever funded, nobody says anything. But for indie writer, why is there stigma still? It's less, but it's just this lingering idea like, oh, how dare you self-publish? You must be nothing. All the other industries are self-publishing. Musicians are self-releasing albums to great success. What?
Exactly.
It's just like the same idea.
I
We're
think-
creatives, Yeah.
I think that paradigm is changing rather
I do
significantly.
too. I think
Since-
it's rapidly changing.
Yep.
Well, what you're going to see in Vegas, in 20 Books Vegas, we have a lot of trad authors who are nothing but trad coming to the show, because as they're getting older, they're like, geez, I need to make some money. And they're looking at indie and saying, complete control, and I get 70% of every sale. You got to be kidding me. Yeah, that's how we're making a living.
8 cents per book.
and not
Yeah.
not hitting New York Times bestseller lists and making way more money than those who are.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
it's
And you see the
the
money
jealousy
sooner.
and envy.
And I was gonna say, you see the money like in 2 or 3 months, as opposed to 3 years or whatever, plus minus 50% to your agent. And it's
I
like,
was just gonna say, it doesn't get funneled through your agent and your publicist and
Yep.
the 12 guys in the corner that have their hands out,
And from a reader's point of view, the prices from a major publisher, the prices of those books are very high. And I can't tell you how many thousands of books I have in my library. So, that's why it's all on
They're
Kindle.
asking you for $10
Or more.
ebook, or more. Yeah, that's to start.
you see a Kindle from some Simon, not picking on Simon & Schuster here, but like Random House, let's say. You have a Kindle coming out for like $14.99. And you're like, I'm sorry, that ebook or whatever, it might be a wonderful book, but come on, let's do a $5.99. Let's be reasonable. $6.99, So yeah, that's insane. They're
that? Yeah.
undercutting their ebooks because they want to sell paper. That's what they want. They're pushing hardcovers.
Yeah, they're pushing you to the paper
Yeah,
copies.
so that's the only reason that. Yeah.
But audio is going that way as well. I recently published a book on leadership called Leader Within, and I had the audiobook done separately, and I made it available exclusively from BookFunnel for $2.99.
Yeah.
And that book on BookFunnel for $2.99, I make more than full-priced audiobooks going through Audible.
Wow.
And
Wow,
that shows the
Wow.
disparity
Yeah.
in payouts on various things. And it's a great audio, and BookFunnel's interface with their app for the phone works perfectly fine, and it is
I'll have to go
transparent.
there.
It's every bit as good as anything else.
Right. Yeah, that's
So yeah, I
know-
think BookFunnel audio.
exactly.
Look
The other
it up
thing I was
now.
going to mention, I was going to mention this quickly, that a lot of times readers don't know, like they're waiting for our books to come out, and especially if it's just a traditional book, it's going to take a year or longer. But with an indie book, it can get there much faster, and readers notice that. They don't know what it is actually behind the scenes, but because we have that control. We're done with the book, it's edited, it's cleaned up, everything's done to it. put on the nice cover, and you release it. You don't wait and sit on some publishing schedule of a third party, which that's what you basically get in a long car wash queue. I think of this queue of, books waiting at the publishers, with their little annual, whatever, whoever gets the monthly schedule. But here you are. This is your own schedule. You get those books out whenever they're ready. And it's perfect. The readers get them much faster. So we all win, basically.
Yeah, I would think so, because there's a book that I'm actually waiting for that comes out in November.
Good.
But I'm invested in the story, so I want to get that book.
There we go.
I totally understand that. I have my books too that I wait for. It's like, even if it's a year, I'll still wait for it.
Yeah.
It depends. It depends on the author. I mean,
Exactly. And the
if
series.
if you're invested in the story, okay. To say I'm not invested in Tag, I think would be, a lie, because I am.
You should be invested.
Exactly.
Yeah. But I also, like I was telling Craig earlier, that I, have read Judge, Jury, and Executioner. Because I had to wait for book 12. Now I'm reading The Bad Company to kind of get the background a little bit of some of the characters.
Nice.
Because
You
I enjoy,
get a lot
I
from
like
them.
the characters, and I'm going, oh, okay, when's the next one coming out? All right, then I can wait, or I'll read a little silly one that, a little romance, or, one of those books you don't get invested in. But speaking of which, where do you get your stories and your characters and your inspiration and putting it all together into a book?
That question, right?
That question. Where do you get those ideas?
Yeah, we want to know.
Well, I know that a lot of times this is always asked on panels at World Cons and all, a bunch of conventions, and a lot of writers resort to saying at New York, what's that city I can't pronounce? Shekinah or some kind of they all come from like Albany, New York. All right, that's the place.
Yeah.
Where you
Oh, like
start-
Schenectady?
Schenectady.
I cannot say that right, but that's where people say the ideas are all shipped directly from. Insert the name of a city. So in short, it can come from anywhere, basically. Ideas come from your dreams, your just lunch bug. You're sitting and you look at your plate and you see something and it just clicks. So it's like to ask that question of a writer is funny because it's impossible to answer. I don't know how you.
I always play a constant game of what if. What if this was different? What if it's like this?
Yeah.
And the more you write, the more ideas you get. So it's a bottomless well, shall we say? And I see we've got a comment over here that I really do want to address.
Exactly.
Ebooks allow you to report errors
typos,
to Amazon.
Oh yeah.
And that
Thank you for
is-
asking question.
Yep.
Yes, they do. You report them. We get reports of quality notifications on our bookshelf, and we get a choice to either fix them or ignore them, but we have to go through them. You said that you report them, but you've never seen them being corrected. We have no choice but to correct them if a quality notice goes in.
They're correct.
You have to correct them, otherwise they pull your book. And so that's what you have to do is after you've reported them, you wait, and then you might see you have to go in and manually check that if there's an update to the book.
Exactly.
And then you have to force that update in, and then you can look again, and you should see that if it truly was a typo. Some people get overzealous and they report, hey, I think it would sound better this way. Well, that's nice, but I'm not going to change that.
Right, that's editorial.
and
That
this-
doesn't go.
Exactly.
Well, I recently got one on my, on Kobo, I have no idea.
Oh.
I'm almost exclusively Amazon. And Amazon, you have absolutely no choice but to fix them. And I do. I had
I fix them across platforms.
Yeah, me too.
If I got a notice from Amazon saying I had typos, I fix my copies in Amazon and then I upload
everywhere else.
everything
Exactly.
to every other,
Yep.
to Kobo, to Draft to Digital.
Yeah,
Apple,
and that's when you
Google.
get really pissed off because, oh no, now I have to do multi-revisions, but yep, you do them. you
There's
gotta-
usually
But then-
something else to change anyway.
Yeah,
so
there
it's all
always
good.
is, there always
Yeah.
is.
And
Yeah.
I don't know how you could force an update through Kobo. or
Yeah.
Apple Books to say, hey, upload the revision. If there's a revised copy, can you upload that?
I think
I
you
don't
can
know. You
try
would
to
check.
email them. I've emailed, Google is impossible to email, so I know I haven't done it, but Draft to Digital, I've contacted them and they said they will try to contact through Draft, like anything that's going through them, they will try to like contact the final third-party vendor. So yeah, they're pretty good about that.
Yeah, you may have to send an email in order to get an update to your device.
But make no mistake, we fix them if we get
Oh,
typo
hell yeah.
reports.
That's right.
So,
And
because you actually don't have a choice.
right. A lot of times we have a list of running, like I have a tally of typos I may have found, and I said, okay, I have no time to do it now, but I'll wait until the next revision. So
Well, it's better to
I
batch
actually-
process them anyway.
Yeah, I batch them. So it's like if I get one quality thing typo, I go, okay, good. This is my opportunity to fix this. So it's like I just do a batch. Yep. So it's
More efficient.
Around the typo, I'll see wording. I'm like, hey, let me change that while I'm in here.
Me too.
I constantly mess with the book. So
Exactly. And I appreciate if somebody lets me know that I have a typo, because we try to get all of the typos that we can, but sometimes they just evade detection, and it takes a fresh eye to and have it pop right out. So I appreciate getting that information.
It's a free service. It's like, thank you.
Yes, I
you're doing
appreciate
us
it.
for free. So thank you. Yeah.
Anybody that gets upset with that they're not doing their job, in my opinion.
no, not professional. If there's a typo in your book, you fix it. You fix it until there's nothing left to fix.
Exactly.
But you do not edit. If they tell you to rewrite something, that's not going to go through. And
That's not their point.
Whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah, because I will say that I have, left books, midstream because of numerous typos and grammatical errors. And I'm going, if the person didn't to write a good story, then why should I read this garbage? Because it doesn't make any sense.
And for the readers, for everybody here on the panel, the readers, the way you can help out your authors is if you're reading on a Kindle, you like a passage, highlight a passage. That will go back. The readers, the authors will be able to see that through Goodreads or through their own Kindles at a different time. So this is, and that goes towards, that contributes to the book's ranking, which helps the book's visibility to other readers. It's called reader, when I was on the phone with Amazon, they call it reader engagement. So the reader buys it. That's a reader engagement. That's worth a set amount of points. And then the reader book shelves it on Goodreads. That counts toward Amazon ranking, believe it or not. Before it comes out, they buy it. They comment on it. They leave a review on Goodreads. They leave a review on Amazon. All of that, one reader, all of that contributes to plus up that book's rank. Yep. So this is it's really important to engage. Like if you highlight something, that's great. Highlight it in Kindle and move on.
I didn't know that. I usually don't highlight things.
Oh yeah,
no, remember that.
The heck away. Go in there, open start,
Go for it. All right, I have next
highlight those quotes that you like.
Yeah, there you go.
I highlight things all the time, but I think I don't share them. I think there's a way of saying make my highlight public or keep it private. And I think I usually keep them private, but I didn't.
Oh, way to go. Oh man, you're killing us.
Yeah, we did.
I didn't know that. I think a lot of us didn't know that. So that's really good information.
Yeah.
Well, we get to see them then too. And we can go in and say, what is the most highlighted passage? And that is way cool.
That is way cool.
And I was going to say, if you want to leave an honest review, even when the people leave not so good reviews, which happens to everybody, look at Shakespeare, look at anything. So the point is, the more reviews, it's always the fact that there is review. Amazon doesn't care if it's a 1-star. It's actually, you're getting a favor. So people don't know that when you're getting another 1-star, it's only if you're getting it.
1 star is the same amount of reader engagement points as a 5-star, which is ridiculous to me. But when I talked to Amazon, they said it doesn't matter. Yeah. Just the quantity is what matters. And I thought that was a little bizarre, but nope, that's in my book. I've got I translated the first Ian Bragg books, the first 3 into German. And the first book is getting absolutely brutalized over on the .de site. It's at like a 3.2 ranking, and it's selling great. And the book in the US has got like a 4.4.
Right. Well,
and it's selling great. I don't get it.
I was going to say that if you look at all the big selling books, their first reviews are usually horrible. I mean, it's like you're going, what is this? Somebody's actually going around trolling. It's like they're just helping them. I mean, literally, you're getting these awful reviews, and some readers say, if you only get good reviews, I don't believe that they're valid, which is nonsense too. But you know, reviews are reviews. The idea of getting artificial or unreal fake reviews, it's not really a thing anymore. Amazon has cracked down on it. So if the reviews are there, they're honest. So if whether they're good or bad, they're pretty much But
it's coming from an account that spent at least $50 that year. So it's people aren't spending $50 to leave a review. So it's a real review, a real rating now. You don't even have to write words.
Right. So, and the more, the better. So you guys just put them out there, please, you know, help us out here. So
we just didn't know. We know now.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm going to skip a question because it's about series versus a single book. And all I see is series, which I love series. But I want to ask you, what is hot in sci-fi and fantasy right now? What are the trends? And does it make sense to pursue them or go out on your own?
Oh boy, that's a funny question, because what's hot today could be different from yesterday or tomorrow, but there are certain patterns. Certain things are always perennial. So
I always avoid trying to chase trends, because especially if you're trying to traditionally publish, because by the time you're aware of a trend, it's probably already been out for a year. And by the time you get a book written and in the hands of a traditional publisher, that trend could, you know, the wave could have already fallen, and then you're going to put a book out there and they're going to be like, well, if I'd had this 2 years ago, I might have bought it. Right. But I, you know, unless there's something about a trend that really sparks something cool for me, I try to avoid writing to trend. I try to write from the heart. Just, you know, what moves me, what scares me, what angers me. And I always try to find ideas that kind of collide. I may start with an idea over here, and then I see some completely strange thing, and somehow they get brought together, and you know, it's created fireworks in my brain, and I have to write it. But so if a trend for me would do that, then sure, I would write it. But unless it's something that makes me feel something as a writer, it's just not something I'm going to pursue. But I might be different in that camp.
But you know, I was going to say, here you have the Cinderella Hour, for example. You have the Cinderella fairy tale plus the Bachelor television game show. You know, it's like two different worlds colliding. So that's a great example of, you know.
Well, I started with, okay, what is the strangest love story I could think of? A love story with an angel of death and a fallen Hollywood star, and then it just got weird from there. But
and the demons arrived.
Oh God, yes, there's a whole boatload of demons. There's the more demons, the merrier. But I mean, it's a pretty irreverent look at reality TV, at romance, at, you know, it's a part romance, part fantasy. But you know, if I just had the single piece of that idea, it might have just come off as straight down the middle. But you know, I was trying to turn tropes on their heads, and you know, write something that was different for me to read, because the Cinderella fairy tale is as old as time, and it's been done and done and done and done. So how can I not do it to death unless I throw in some angels of death demons? So
I love it.
So
we've got about 10 minutes left, so I'm going to ask each of you to tell us about your latest book, series, fictional universe, and make me want to read it. Okay, and I will tell you, I'm a very eclectic reader.
Me too.
One of my favorites, I mean, I love Jules Verne.
Oh, I do too.
I loved Edgar Rice Burroughs.
Yeah.
And all the Tarzan books, which is a lot of people haven't. They just watched the movies with Johnny Weissmuller. Nothing like, and let me tell you, those books.
The scenery is nice.
Yes, I mean, but other than that, the story is, there was no me Tarzan, you Jane. So make me want to read your latest book.
Oh, my latest book.
That's a challenge. I love it.
Or your favorite, or your universe. So make me want to read it.
All right.
Oh, geez.
Go for it.
I tell you what, I'll start because Vera just put
Yeah,
out East
you
on
go
Blue,
for
and
it,
it
go
was
for it.
great, and she's trying to figure it out. I'm a lawyer. I'm a retired Marine, and I'm a retired lawyer. So I took both of those, and since I like writing science fiction, because that's what I read, I read thousands of science fiction books growing up. I've written a series about a space lawyer. So think of Judge
nice.
Dredd meets Boston Legal with a little bit of Tombstone, Wyatt Earp action in space with aliens.
Love it.
And it's still the foundation of law. I did get bagged on by an Australian lawyer because it was U.S. law that I used. Well, I'm sorry, I went to U.S. law school, so that's what I know.
I'll let you have that one, but that's already one of my favorites.
That's good. But it's also my most recent. I published it just last
Yes.
week, the book
Yes.
12.
I know.
That's
That's the one I haven't
title.
had the chance to read yet.
Right,
but-
Craig, give us the
And
title.
I will say in that series, I'm going to call it the prequel because it came out before that. But there's a whole backstory that you can read on, with the bad company and, these mercenaries for hire and how they acquire their soldiers, I guess is the best word for it. But they're real characters. They're people that I can invest in. Oh yeah, I just love this gal. She's kick-ass. And, okay, yeah, she doesn't really do this. And to give a spoiler, she has cases, her employees call them missions.
So what's the title of the last one, Craig? Just
The
to
last
give us
one
a
is called Blood Trade.
Blood.
And the legal aspect
Like the
is
title.
addiction versus suppliers.
Interesting.
I saw that one actually just a little while ago. That really looked interesting. I'm looking forward to the military sci-fi from both of you guys.
Good. I'm glad. I hope we both resonate well. And I'll tell you, I ordered the covers for Judge, Jury, and Executioner 13, 14, and 15.
Cool.
So that series will continue for quite a while.
Nice.
And Lisa, go for
Lisa,
it.
okay.
They just
Oh,
want your book.
We want
Okay.
the books. We want your book.
Make me want to read your books.
well, I already told you about the high concept of it. It begins as a love story with it's part love story, part fantasy, because what begins as a low budget reality television show about matchmaking in book 1, the stakes quickly get raised and evolves into not only a quest for true love and staying together, but it involves those little things like saving the world and stopping Lucifer from taking over heaven and fighting demons. So if you enjoy an irreverent look at angels and heaven and demons, it's about becoming the best damn demon slayers that heaven and Lucifer have ever seen. So
I was going to say about your character, Jack. I mean, isn't he he's different. He's not just like the typical hero. He's got these issues that are not like the pretty boy, whatever issues, but he's got addiction issues and some like real life interesting. Yeah.
Jack, one of the souls that Talia has to save in book 1 is this fallen Hollywood star named Jack Casey, who's the last job that anyone is offering him is this part on this cheesy reality television show about 3 Prince Charmings finding their Hollywood Cinderella's. And he's addicted to cocaine, and he is fated to actually overdose and die unless Talia can save him. So he's dealing with addiction issues. He's dealing with a lot of real world situations, and his ideal woman is the woman that has never read one tabloid or seen any episode of television and knows who he is. So he can kind of start from scratch and find somebody who is his match just for the person that he is. And so she has to save him. And in turn, in later books, he has to save her, and then they have to save the universe, because he starts out as being a normal human, but through this bond with Talia, things start changing. And in book 3, he wakes up in his apartment to find a dozen angels of death and hellhounds tearing down his door, and Lucifer, which he doesn't believe in, is standing in his living room telling him that it's charming to meet you. It's time for you to be dragged off to hell. So he's struggling with his own reality, trying to recover from real world stuff. And then this fantasy world invades his apartment, and he's worried about his security deposit, you know. Hellhounds are scratching up his floor, you know, angels of death.
Really?
Destroying everything. And, you know, if he has one more demon fight in his apartment, which is a typical Saturday night in LA, he's going to get evicted from his apartment. So there's a lot of humor in the book, but it's just how their relationship evolves, and where it becomes more than a love story. It really involves them saving the human world and saving heaven from the evil demons, which are everywhere. So.
And I really love the fact that in your story, you have humor and really kind of heartfelt stuff going on at the same time. I mean, a lot of good books do. I think some of the best books, people remember them because they can go from crying to laughing in 0 to 60. So I think you got that.
And that's the way this book is. There's a lot of dark moments in this book, but there's a lot of humor, because either you laugh or you cry. So, right. You know, so
it's fabulous, man. You guys have great stuff coming up. It's awesome. I need to get cracking on my stuff. I need to get my EOS. That's
the next EOS needs to exist.
There you go.
Yes, it does.
So your fans can read them.
Yeah, that's what's next, you guys. And you know all about it. It's taking a leap into the dawn of time and bringing out all the secrets and all the stuff. So there you go.
It's going to be another fun ride.
Oh yeah.
Well, I think Craig, the two of you have done a really good job of, I want to read your books. I just got to tell you, I've had a blast tonight.
Good, go read them. They're fabulous. These guys are the best, I'm telling you.
And Cinderella
I have
free,
read,
so.
I have read Craig's, and now I will read yours,
And
Lisa.
I want you to know, you guys, I know pretty much so many people in the writing publishing world, and I don't invite just anybody here, okay? The people I invite here are good, and if I got them here, that means you got to read their book. So hey, there you go.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Craig.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me into your living rooms, everybody.
Yep. And
Been a
having our
pleasure.
camera going all
Thank
over.
you for your service. So you said you are a retired Marine.
That's right.
My brother is also a retired Marine, so.
My brother-in-law is
Good,
as well.
good. Semper Fi.
Semper Fi.
Now we've got time for one more question. Which would you rather do? A standalone book that you can get done real quickly, or a series?
Oh, who can get a standalone book done quickly? You got to do all that world building.
That's right.
I guess in my book 13 in the series, I kind of know the world, so that one will go quickly. Oh my God, standalone! What kind of
So you prefer the
Psycho.
series?
That's why I didn't
Psycho.
ask that, but now I'm glad you did, Nancy.
Well, you know, standalones are just like, they're just as much work, and then they're gone. It's like up and they're gone. So it's like it's like, why did I do all that? And now it's gone. And yes, sure, there's some great standalones, you know, Shakespeare plays, again, Romeo and Juliet, Jane Austen, Pride and Prejudice. But you know what? I bet you if Jane Austen had the chance, she probably would have done a series.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
we would have liked to have known a little bit more, you know, about Mr. Darcy.
Yeah, it's like, you know, if the audience only told her that, she'd have done a series. I think that's how it works.
I think sometimes an idea lends itself to a standalone book,
Yeah.
and you know, I'm fine with that. But I've just had a blast writing these books, and you know, there's 12 more, and there's going to be 4 spinoff from that, and I'm already getting inklings of maybe a book 13 or 14. So you know, I think if you've hit on a series that you know that you're loving the act of writing it, series for me is going to win every time, unless it's just a really
Well,
cool idea.
And then one follow up to that. When you're writing a series, how do you determine the end?
I love that song.
You know,
I like to ask the stumping ones. So how do
That's
you
a good one. I think there's a
end?
series arc. I think what you do get is a series arc, and then usually there's a pendulum swing. So you either go somewhere else. So it's like there's always either a prequel, a sequel, you know, something else to get. So the story of the certain subset of characters might end a certain way, but there's a greater story that can keep going. So yeah.
Yeah,
It's like a wave. It just keeps flowing and flowing, but it's like up and down, up and down.
exactly. Because when I started this out, I thought it was going to be a romance, which for most romance readers, they start with a character, these 2 characters in the first book, and then 2 you know, supporting characters become the main characters in the next books. But I found, you know, this huge arc with they're the same main characters, and it's a story about how their love story evolves. And like in this book that just came out in May, which you can no longer see.
Oh, there it is.
They get married in this book, but their story still continues. So
Yeah.
you know, after they get together, there's still a lot more story to tell. So as long as I've got part of that main arc that I first foresaw as stories to tell within that arc, I'm going to keep writing them until, you know, I think once you hit that natural end, like you said, Vera, where, you know, you start spinning off with the supporting characters, then I think you've finished your main series and you might have a spinoff series from it.
Right.
But I think you kind of feel it in your gut before it's obvious. And then you don't want to go there, but at least I.
Yeah,
Is it hard for
enough.
you as a writer to let go of a character?
Yes, yes.
It's complicated.
You get tired of writing the characters, like The Bad Company. It was supposed to be 8 books. I finished it at 7, even though 7 is like 135,000 words, which is about a double book for me. And it's just I just didn't want to write the characters anymore because I wasn't going to do them justice.
Yeah.
And this is, I owed my readers that the best stories, and with Judge, Jury, and Executioner, I could bring those characters in for cameos from The Bad Company, and they'll get their time, but I don't have to create a mainstream, because the characters in Bad Company I had already written in 11 books in the Terry Henry Walton Chronicles, a precursor to The Bad Company. But I wanted to write space opera, and this was post-apocalyptic. I'm like, they got to go to space at the end of that. And so they did, and now it became a space opera, which character driven, as you recognize. If you fall in love with the characters, anything can be the story. And yes, you have to move the plot along. The story has to make sense. You have to have surprise. You have to have conflict and resolution. But you can do all that with on any kind of palette. But you can do it. The characters have to do it and drive it forward. So every one of my books is so character heavy, character driven.
Mine are too. So if, like you said, if it stops becoming fun and the characters are no longer being interesting on the page, then I don't feel I would do them justice by continuing something. But like when you have to kill off a character or, you know, something like that, that's hard.
That
Yeah.
hurts. That
I
is
mean,
bad.
I have
That's hard
sobbed
to do.
entire chapters leading up to deaths for
Yeah.
characters.
Oh,
because I
I've
knew it
wept,
was coming.
I cried, I've
Jeez.
like, yes. I have.
I
Okay, now I have to be the time police.
Oh.
Oh, I've
I
enjoyed
know,
this.
I know, I know.
it's okay.
We could talk forever.
You guys are so
Indeed,
great.
indeed.
Thank you so much.
Craig, Lisa, thank you.
Thanks for
Thank
having
you,
us, Vera.
guys.
Thanks
Thank
for
you,
the invite.
guys.
Nice meeting
Craig,
you,
It was a
Lisa.
lot of fun.
I enjoyed your
Appreciate
books,
being
Lisa.
invited.
I look forward to yours.
We'll see you in Vegas.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Vegas, baby.
Vegas.
Goodbye, everybody, and thank you
Take
again.
care.
Bye, thank you. Take
Bye.
care.
I'm gonna stop recording.
There